Okay, we're back. It's Formula One Philosophy Season 3. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure we were going to have a Season 3. Wasn't sure how busy I would be, if I would have time, but I'm glad we do. I've made time. And Sean and I are now all in. And we are going to start not doing things differently, but we're going to start going even harder because we love doing this podcast. We love where this podcast is going, and we love that all of you listen. We love talking about Formula One. Like I said, we did it anyway. Might as well record it. Might as well try and make some money. Might as well try and become too rich to even be seen with our fans. Might as well try and hire security to keep us in a wealthy zone where people under the income levels of what Sean and I are soon to make aren't even allowed. And that includes family, by the way. Yeah. That's the route Sean and I are going. Okay, I'm kidding, obviously. But welcome to Formula One Philosophy Season 3. As usual, as always, I start off with a rant. F1_philosophy at Instagram. F1philosophypod at gmail.com. We really appreciate every time you guys bring up stuff for us to talk about. Brian Scown, we're looking at you. And F1 Philosophy at YouTube. Keep liking and supporting us. We promise we won't turn into rich dicks. F1 Philosophy Season 3 starts with a rant. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about this year. I almost didn't do one, but I thought, I owe you guys a rant. Every year I owe you a rant to start on. The first year was Mick Schumacher. The second year was talking about the new crop of rookies. That, I think, aged pretty well. I was re-listening to it the other day. I didn't get everything right, obviously, but I think I was onto something. And this year, I was going back and forth. What do I want to talk about? What will summarize this year? I was having not an existential crisis, but I was having a thought about me wanting to talk about how we worship crap drivers. You know, I was looking at the Yuki Tsunoda fan base, the Nico Hulkenberg fan base, and I'm like, what makes people want to worship these people? What makes people clutch and grab at everything about these people? That they don't see the reality of who they are. Right? And then I was going along those lines, but then I noticed something in the Formula One media that kind of relates to this. And I've noticed a trend in the last couple of years. And I'm not sure why it's happening. Maybe because I'd like to think because I'm now talking that it shifted the energy of the universe and more people are thinking like me. And that's a whole lot of woo-woo shit there, but that is kind of how the world works, funny enough. You'll notice that as you live more. I know a lot of our listeners are very young, but your voice does count. Mine included, right? My voice counts, your voice counts. Everybody should have their own channel. Everybody should be talking about what's important to them. And it's not just for others to hear. It's just to show everybody that you're not alone. And I was thinking about all this, and I was just and I was seeing what was happening, and I'm going, I get it. I kind of see what the problem is. Things are changing. Things are changing this year. It's a big, big change this year in Formula One. Something we haven't seen in 15 years. And that's a big deal. And I think a lot of that is frightening people. And I'm noticing it come out in a lot of ways. Right? There's a lot more people suddenly looking back at the past and going, why did we change? Why did we ever stop V10s? Why didn't we respect the 2000s, the 90s as much as we did? Why did we want to move on from it so bad? And I have answers for that. I have answers in other podcasts I've talked about before. A lot of it's just media manipulation. They didn't want you, and this is how my mind got there from the Nico Hulkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda stuff. It's the media's main job is to convince you that greatness isn't great and that crap is really good. It's to manipulate your mind so you never know what to strive for. And yeah, I'm going to get into a lot of deep philosophical principles to this episode. It's not just going to all be about Formula One. But my mind's in a lot of fractured places right now, just looking at everything that's going on and thinking, I got to let this out and I got to give some sense of hope for everybody about what's coming. But yeah, if you read Atlas Shrugged, if you read The Fountainhead, more particularly by Ayn Rand, she talks about this brilliantly. And I think everybody who listens to me should read those two books to really understand what I'm getting at a lot of the time. This is where a lot of my mindset comes from. I believed in all that stuff before I read that book. And then I read the book and it's like, oh, this is crystallized. This is everything I ever understood and believed in. And a lot of it's just about like the media manipulating your mind to convince the public that crap is good and greatness is nothing. It's nothing to be happy about. It's nothing to respect. And that's basically the matrix we live in. If you want to describe the matrix in one phrase, in one paragraph, that's it. Media is there to manipulate your mind so that you never know what to strive for. And that when you see greatness, a lot of people will be repulsed by it. A lot of people instinctually will be repulsed by it because they hate themselves. They hate who they are, and instead of striving for that, they think, I know I'll never get that. So I'll just try and tear that person down. And the media's job is to get enough people thinking that way so that it changes reality. It's an interesting thing about the world. It's called the 100th monkey syndrome. When 100 monkeys start thinking a certain way or start doing a certain thing, other monkeys in other islands start thinking. Like the 100th monkey syndrome comes from this island. These researchers, they were studying some monkeys, and then one monkey started using sticks to gather other sticks or something, or started doing things a certain way. And then the other monkeys, monkey see, monkey do, it's a real concept, started copying him. And then it got to a certain point where 100 of those monkeys were doing this new thing on this island, separated from everybody else. They would go to another island and then start seeing the monkeys do the exact same thing. You can call it woo-woo shit, you can call it the law of attraction, doesn't fucking matter. It's once enough people start thinking a certain way, it almost becomes reality. But we know that through Formula One philosophy that there are dissenting voices. You listen to us all the time. And my mind's coming here because, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of things from the past suddenly shifting and being pushed in a new light. And I came across this video, and I think it just crystallized everything I wanted to talk about. And it's by The Grid Gab on YouTube. And it came out now 13 days ago. I'm recording on January 29th. A couple days into the new Formula One season. We're in the midst of the Barcelona shakedown. And there's a lot of forced optimism I've noticed from the reporting there, but that's another, talk about that later. Talk about that in another episode. But it's The Grid Gab, and the title is Do We Owe Schumacher an Apology? Michael Schumacher, they're talking about here. And I'm not going to play it, and I'm not going to summarize it, but at one point he goes, why didn't we respect that we were watching greatness? Why did we think it was so boring? Why did we not respect what we were watching, Michael's 2000 to 2005 era? Why did we hate it so much? And it's because you were told to. He's British. And the British media at the time, and this is something I rejected harshly, convinced the entire British public and then others, like I said, the 100th monkey syndrome, once enough people start thinking a certain way, other people start thinking that way, right? And the British are the dominant media consumer of Formula One. That's fine. I'm not upset about that. It's just they cater to that audience. And once enough people thought that way, and they thought, oh, it's boring now that Michael's winning. It's boring what we're watching. Michael's just winning because he has all this money at Ferrari. Michael's just winning because he's cheating. Michael's not that good. It's just his car. It's this, it's that. Oh, it's the point system. We have to change the point system in 2003 to make things closer. And Michael won 8 wins in 2003. Kimi Räikkönen won 1, and Kimi Räikkönen finished 2 points behind him. That should never be happening in any rational universe, especially in Formula One. But the narrative was always that. We need to, and then out of that, we got the 2005 regulations, got the 2009 regulations, 2014 regulations, all which made the sport, in my opinion, and this is in my opinion, worse. It comes from that. It comes from that root. It comes from that idea that when we were watching greatness, we rejected it. And because we rejected it, we changed it and we deformed it. We turned it, we mutilated it. God gives you humans. The devil tries to get you to manipulate and destroy your body. He can't do anything. He has to make you manipulate and destroy yourself. Right? That's the biblical concept. Another way of putting it, or you can say psychologically, like I forget the term. It's like self-deprecating. Like you're so, like it's where anorexic comes from. Like anorexic people come from. You can't look at yourself in a positive light. So you have to destroy yourself, even though you're already perfect the way you are. And yeah, I'm getting a little deep and biblical there, but I'm making the point that, and I'm giving the background that that's how we saw it then. But now, after we've manipulated and destroyed everything and changed Formula One in a way that it's unrecognizable, we're looking back on this dead body that we killed. And this person, like the grid gap, goes, do we owe Schumacher an apology? And I think one of the lines, if you look in the transcript, is, we were witnessing greatness, why didn't we appreciate it? Because you were told not to, and because that's the instinct of a lot of people, would rather destroy greatness while telling themselves it's for the better than to ever recognize that they need to change themselves. What they're recognizing, what they're hating, is how much they hate themselves. And I didn't hate myself. And I was probably told to hate myself a million times until I recognized I had everything in me to succeed. And I didn't give myself plastic surgery. Like at the time, I used to be a really chubby kid. I used to be really weird looking. I was odd. I had big curly hair. What could I have done? Plastic surgery? Liposuction? Could I have done everything to fix me? No, I had everything inside of me. I just needed to change my thought process of myself. And I started eating better, exercising, and I became a different person. But some people don't do that, and they just, in the sense of Formula One just kept adding plastic, kept adding all these new things on itself, like kept changing its wardrobe, kept adding piercings, wear different makeup. In the end, it looked at itself, and now a lot of kids especially are looking back at the past and going, ew, this looks like crap. They're complaining about what they see in Formula One. They're complaining about what Formula One has become. Why can't we? And now they're looking back and going, why did we hate that? Why can't we have that again? Why can't we have V10s that sound beautiful, cars that are light and look beautiful? Why can't we have pit stop strategies, refueling, different tire manufacturers? Because Formula One convinced you that it was crap, and convinced you that so it could change it. And my belief, and this is just my belief for power purposes, they wanted to control who was winning. They didn't want someone independent like Michael winning. Michael had his own group of friends, his own team, his own manager. He was the guy, and Formula One couldn't control him. So they made a series, a league, where they could control everybody. And Max Verstappen has gotten through the net. Max Verstappen was never supposed to happen, but Max Verstappen used the Red Bull apparatus, and Red Bull, in its desperation to start winning again, allowed someone who was independent, had his own team. Jos Verstappen manages Max. Max doesn't listen to anybody in Formula One. Max talks back to Formula One in the interviews. Doesn't give a shit about the reporters. Didn't go to Drive to Survive 2021. Doesn't give a shit. I'm my own man. That wasn't supposed to happen. Formula One created this series and changed this series so that there could be 100 Lando Norrises or 20 Lando Norrises. Someone who tells you everything you want to hear. Someone who complains if their car is not good enough. Can only win if their car is good. Has no effect on anything, can't change anything, because quite frankly they're inferior. But you're convinced that that's greatness. You've been convinced his entire career that that's greatness. George Russell, same thing, right? These people who never amount really to much, and when they finally get these perfect cars, make meals of their championship seasons, that's your hero. Max Verstappen, that guy's all luck. That's just the car, right? This year that became so obvious that that's not the case with Max. That Max is a once-in-a-lifetime exceptional driver, plus an excellent racing mind, plus a relentless, hard-working human being. He was on his time off racing in GT Series, working hard, developing his car. Became the engineering mind plus the racing mind at his team. They revolve and rely around him. It's become a Schumacher era. Now, after years of trying to convince you otherwise, that's become so obvious that no one believes that anymore. And now the worm has changed on Lando Norris. Michael's legacy is shifting. Max's legacy is shifting. Reality is taking hold on everybody. And now we're looking back at looking at what's coming and seeing brand new regulations that can change everything and potentially make everything worse. We just had an amazing season. How are you ever supposed to follow that? Are things going to get better? We don't know. Are things going to be good? Is Formula One going to fall apart? We're now in an era with Netflix following around Drive to Survive. There's Twitter, social media. One bad season, then this whole thing could fall apart. And a lot of diehard Formula One fans are scared. They're scared of what's coming. And they're now acting like children and sucking their thumb and holding on to their teddy bear, watching their old kid shows, looking back at old Formula One and going, that was so good. The V10s were so good. And then they suck their thumb and they think, oh, why can't we just go back to that? And I agree. Because someone like me 15 years ago was saying, why are we changing this? Why are we going on a different train track? Why are we going down a different path? Because I knew then it wasn't for a better sport. It was for more power and control. You all recognize that now. And every single one of you talk shit about Mohammed bin Sulayem. Worse than Bernie Ecclestone ever was. Are the owners any better now, the Americans and the Saudis, than the Europeans? No. Are things more fair? Is there better racing? Not necessarily. Sometimes there is. Listen, I think 2025 is one of the best seasons I've ever seen. But I'm different. I have an open mind about this. I'm just trying to make a point here. You're all scared of what's coming. So now you're looking back and going, why did we ever change? And I want to just say to you, it's good that you recognize that. So that you know not to get manipulated again. And this young group of Formula One fans that's coming up, they see past the bullshit. And I'm very happy to see it. The Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, they're starting to understand that what was there before wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. And what we have now was not as good as it could be. You're all scared of what's coming. And you wish you could go back. And I'm here to tell you as someone, like I said, who understood all this and believed in all this, that that's not the answer. It's not. This is my olive branch. And this is how we all come together. Yes, we went down a different path, not necessarily a bad path, when we changed everything in 2009. Yes, things aren't what they used to be. But going back and trying to resurrect something that is dead is not the answer. That's the lesson of Frankenstein. Right? That's the lesson. You don't dig up old graves. Yes, it was killed for bad reasons. Yes, it was killed for a lie. But you going up, digging its grave, taking the rotting corpse and trying to resurrect it is not the solution. We don't need V10s. We don't need to stop going down the path we're going down. Sean's talked about this a lot. That's why I'm happy to have Sean. Yeah, I have my own beliefs. Yeah, I have a very conspiratorial mind. Yeah, I hate some of what Formula One has become. Still watch it, though. Should probably stop. I tried to stop, but I can't. I love it too much. Yes, I wish we never changed. Yes, I wish the cars were the lightest they could be, the fastest they could be. Yes, I wish we were breaking lap time records. We kind of are. Yes, I wish we didn't have the hybrid. You have to worry about that. These engine regulations, these European climate controls, all that bullshit now that nobody believes in anymore. Yes, I wish we didn't live off of fear to set our rules and regulations. But out of this, we've got a lot of great engineering. Out of this, we've got a lot of cool cars. Sean and I have talked about this a million times, and that's why I always have Sean here to tell me what's good about what we're seeing in the future. Tell me, put a good spin on it. And I may not always agree with it, but at least he understands. And he's an engineer, and he doesn't want us to go backwards either, and I respect that. To all of you who think like me and believe like me, we need to now understand the good that some people have done. We need to understand that a lot of what we see now is for the better. That yes, we went down maybe a wrong path many years ago, but out of it we've learned a whole lot of new things that may produce a better future. And I'm here to tell you that there is no wrong path. There's just different. We might yet end up at a situation where there's tire manufacturers again. Sean wants it too, right? Sean likes a lot of this stuff, this new engineering. But even he wants lighter cars. Even he wants tire manufacturers. Even he wants refueling. Yeah, we went down a path that was based off of fear, but yes, there's a lot of good coming too. We're learning new things about battery technology. We're learning new ways to make cars even faster. Record time at Monaco this year. Record time at some other places too. I think it should be every track, but that's coming. It's coming. Things don't just change on a dime. Things take time. Things take growth. Don't scrap what we've learned just because you're nostalgic for the past. Don't give up on what could be a great future because of some clips you saw in the past. You didn't like it then for a reason. Not all of you. Yeah, I feel bad for the Gen Z kids, the Gen Alpha kids who didn't get a chance to see it. But a lot of you who are my age and older, who are now looking back and saying, why did things change? A lot of you back then claimed your boredom watching Michael. You didn't respect what he was doing. A lot of you wanted the change. You wanted more overtaking. I remember that bullshit. You didn't actually want overtaking. You just wanted Michael to lose. You wanted Ferrari to lose. You got your wish. And a lot of you are Ferrari fans now because it's an underdog situation. And you don't even understand the principles of what you're cheering for. But a lot of you wanted this change, as much as you may deny it. A lot of you didn't respect what you saw, as much as you may say otherwise. A lot of you helped create this change. So don't clutch pearls. Don't clutch your teddy bear. V10 engines, 2000s racing, 90s racing. Because it wasn't perfect. Probably wasn't even as good as what we've seen. It's probably better now. You just have a nostalgia. You have a memory that you don't want to tarnish, that you don't want to lose. And on the eve of the 2026 season, with big changes coming, where it may be a lot worse for a little while, the racing may not be that good. There may just be one team that just takes over and starts winning, and it's really boring to watch. It may suck, but that's okay. It's nothing to fear. On the eve of the 2026 season, we need to come together and understand that yes, there were some good things about the past, but there's going to be some great things about the future. Instead of destroying the path we came from, let's build on top of it. Let's take the things we liked about the past and build it onto the future, without scrapping what we've done in the recent past and in the present. Let's not give up and blow everything up. Let's take our position that we have now and grow from it. There's a lot to be optimistic about. Listen to Sean. Listen to what Sean's been talking about the engines. Listen to Sean when he delves deep into the engineering. You can be skeptical like me, and you can face reality like me. And this time, now that you have me and others like me, you can hear what the media says and be skeptical. And we can challenge it. And that's how we grow in the future. We learn not to get duped this time without completely destroying everything first. We can do this together if we come together. Formula One is something to marvel about, not something to resent, and not something that you need to take control of to make in your image, because then you're no better than the people who took power, who did everything what they did to destroy Michael. I see this because I see the worm turning on Michael. Everybody, even Ferrari too, talked about all last year what a great uniting force he was at Ferrari. After years of Ferrari claiming it was us, we did it, we built everything, Michael was only good as us. Yeah, sure. Reality has set in, and the worm has turned. Reality is setting in, isn't it? That's what this year is all about. This year is about seeing reality, and reality you may not like some of it. But instead of ignoring it, really look at what you're seeing. It may change your mind on some things. It may also solidify the beliefs you already have. Point is, if you look at what's coming with an open mind, it can actually be very good. Be optimistic and be skeptical. That's what Formula One philosophy is all about. And going into 2026, we're going to be your guide. And we'll be there to help you. And we'll be there to solidify what you're seeing, to show you that you're not alone. We're all here. We're all friends. We all believe in Formula One. I hope that helps everybody. I really do. I hope you're not scared of what's coming in Formula One 2026. I hope you don't reject it. I hope you don't give up on it, because there's a lot to be happy about. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. This year I'm approaching it with an open mind. A lot's changing, but I'm not just going to write it off if it's not perfect. Sean and I talked about this after 2022, and I was like, ugh, the regulations failed again. The ground effect error. And he said, we're within a second of each other, Nick. That was the goal. All 20 cars. And you know what? Sean was right. That was the goal. Instead of me just being a little shithead, I needed to open my mind a little bit. Yeah, there's a million things I can critique about Sean too, but I'm not going to until I see him. So, which I will. I'll be there all year to antagonize him, because that's what this show's all about. So yeah, watch that video, the grid gab. I think you'll see that the worm is turning on everything. And as always, F1_philosophy at Instagram, F1philosophypod at gmail.com, and F1philosophy at YouTube. Like, subscribe, send us stuff to our email, like our posts. We got a lot coming in this preseason. We're going to go over what we think about the drivers on the grid. Sean's got a surprise for you guys. We got our predictions coming up. We got the over-unders coming again. Lots happening in this next month, so stay tuned. F1 Philosophy in 2026 is back.